today I want to reflect on kingdom living. The reason why I want to reflect on kingdom living is because actually today is what we call Christ the King Sunday. And Christ the King, so I think you probably, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, that the Christian calendar starts with the first week of Advent, which is next week. It starts with the first week of Advent, which is a time when we prepare for Christ's coming, which is Christmas. And then the calendar kind of goes through all of Christ's life. And it ends with Christ the King Sunday, which is the climax. And the climax basically to the whole story is Christ is the King. Christ is the boss of all of us. That's how the whole year wraps up in that climax. So on this Sunday, we're also called to make a decision. We need to make a decision whether we're going to be playing by the rules of humans, or are we going to be playing by the rules of God? Now, if we choose that we're going to play by the rules of God, I can guarantee you that we're going to get many people who play by the rules of humans angry. It's just the way it is. But we do have a choice between playing by the rules of man or playing by the rules of God. So, what is a Christian to do? Especially in this world where so many issues are, we face so many issues and so much division. Well, I would suggest that the best way to start determining which rules you want to follow is to ask yourself, do I believe that God is with me? Do I believe, truly believe, that right now, in this time, in this space, in this breath that you take, that God is with me? And so I'd like you to just take this question seriously. And close your eyes, just for a moment. And ask yourself, do I know that God is with me in this very moment? What do you think? Is there anyone out there who does have a sense that God is in the here and now, in the next breath? A couple nods. You know, sometimes we don't feel that. And that's perfectly okay. We are on a journey. And sometimes we feel God's presence. And sometimes we just feel like, where is God? Wherever you're at is fine. But my next question is to those people who do feel that God's presence is with us always. So here's the question. If God is here and is with us, then why wouldn't we choose God to rule over our lives over humans? If we really believe that God is present in our hearts, in our minds, why wouldn't we give God direction? Or not give God direction. Why wouldn't we let God direct us? And if we really, truly, to our bones, believe that God is in this space, in the people who are all around you, in every breath that we take, why would we not give ourselves completely and totally to the one whose primary desire is to draw us in to God's perfect love? Why wouldn't we choose God's kingdom? So, what's God's kingdom, Susan? What is that about? Well, obviously, obviously, it was Jesus' central message. And I say that because he refers to the kingdom of God over 100 times. And so, because he mentions it so much, even from his very first message, when he came out from the water and was baptized by John the Baptist, he said, "Repent, the kingdom of God is near." It's the core of the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. It's what Jesus told his disciples to strive for above all else. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. So where is this kingdom? Where should we be seeking? The Gospel of Mark has Jesus saying, "The kingdom of God has drawn near." And Luke, in his Gospel, he has Jesus saying, "The kingdom of God is in your midst." And in the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew has Jesus saying to his disciples, "And as ye go, preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand." And did you hear, by the way, the small little difference between Mark and Luke and Matthew? Mark and Luke say kingdom of God. Matthew says kingdom of heaven. The reason why Matthew says the kingdom of heaven is because Matthew is a very, 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 very Jewish man. And Jewish men are not allowed to say God's name. So he says instead heaven because that word points to God. But it means the same thing. He's saying the same thing as Luke and Mark. So seeking the kingdom, drawing near in our midst, that's what Jesus has to say to us. And so what does that look like? He says, well, it's like a farmer sowing seeds. And then he says, it's like a woman working yeast into the dough. And then he says, well, it's like a mustard seed. It's the smallest seed of all, but it grows into something wonderful and wild and out of control. And then he says, the kingdom of God is like a net let down in a lake that catches all sorts of fish. The kingdom of God is people doing for others what they cannot do for themselves. And so, I'm going to share two stories with you, and for you people who have been here for a while, I absolutely am aware that you know these stories. These stories were two pivotal stories in my faith journey, and there are more than enough new people in this room who have not heard my stories. So, for those of you who have heard them, just entertain me, okay? So, about 15 to 20 years ago, when I was living outside of Atlanta, I had some close church friends who convinced me that I must go to this very special retreat. And the retreat was called A Walk to Emmaus. And that I absolutely had to participate in this, that it would be transforming. Now I know that many of you, or some of you, have gone on a Walk to Emmaus retreat, and some of you have found deep meaning in it, and for some of you, it has transformed you in some way. But for me, that was not so at all. And so, the reason why it was not so at all started before I even got there. So my friend, who convinced me I had to do this Walk to Emmaus, was the leader of this retreat that I signed up for, or one of the leaders. And she drove me to this secret location. I wasn't allowed to know where it was. I wasn't allowed to drive there. I had driven. So I was driven to this secret retreat place, and it was a beautiful day. And we had our windows down and enjoying the sunshine and the warmth. And we were on the interstate, and we got off at an exit. At the end of the exit, there was a man, and he was standing there, and he had a sign that said, "Anything helps." And my friend rolled up the windows as quickly as she could and said to me, "I hate those people." Now, unfortunately, I didn't respond. I think I didn't respond because I was so caught off guard. Here I was heading to this supposedly grace-filled retreat, but it was being led by a woman who had no grace for the most vulnerable of us. My mind closed, and whatever happened that weekend, I did not benefit from. Do you remember that story? Some of you are shaking your heads. Yes, and some no, so that's good. Now, you probably definitely heard the second story. So about 10 years later, fast forward, I'm living in Salem, Oregon. I'm the associate pastor at First United Methodist Church, my first appointment. And it was several days before Christmas, and a very, very, very harsh ice and snowstorm was on its way. Temperatures were dropping dramatically into the single digits, and the police were going around to the different homeless camps to inform them that this weather was imminent and they really needed to seek shelter. They should go to the homeless shelters. And so, not knowing that, I had made a few calls to some elderly people in our congregation who were stuck in their house, and maybe they needed their medication, maybe they needed food, maybe they needed something. I had a Subaru, so I can do anything for Subaru. So there was this one couple who asked me to go and get chains for their car. So Ken, as protective as he is, he put the chains on my Subaru just in case. He put a flashlight in my car, a sleeping bag, because you never know if I'm going to go off the side of the road in the middle of Salem and be stuck there and nobody would help me. So the sleeping bag was vital. So I went to Les Schwab, and as I went into the parking lot, there was a man there who had a sign that said, "Anything helps." And so I pulled over and I asked him, I gave him a little bit of money, and I asked him, have the police come to you and told you that this weather system is on its way and that you really need to find shelter? And he said, "Oh, no, me and my friends, we're just going to stay in the camps. The shelters are just far too dangerous." All right. So I thought, all right, well, that's your choice. And I started to pull away, and I remembered that Ken put this sleeping bag in the back of my car. So I got out of the car, and I gave him the sleeping bag, and he said, "Oh, thank you so much. I'm sure I can find someone who needs it." And I was stunned. I was stunned that this man who had so little was given a gift that would comfort him and make him warm. And he was willing to hand it over to someone who needed more than he did. And so with my jaw dropped, I collected myself and thought I gotta move on. So I was pulling away and I said, "You have a Merry Christmas." Every time I say this story, I get choked up. And he said to me, "Oh, I will. You don't have to have a home to have Christ in your heart." I really sincerely felt that the angels were speaking to me, that the angels were teaching me how to live in the kingdom. You remember that story? Some of you know. Good. Some of you, yes. Well, those two stories were seriously transformative in my understanding of the journey, in my understanding of how to live a Christian life. And so we are called to live this kingdom life. One is an example of a person who is living by the rules of man, and one is an example of someone who's living by the rules of God. And so, where am I? Okay. We are called to live in the kingdom. We are called to keep our eyes and our ears and our minds open. I used to ask you, where have you seen God? I stopped asking you that because you got bored of it. But what I was really asking you, when I asked you, where have you seen God, I was asking you, where have you seen the kingdom this week? And in these days, more than any time in my ministry, I feel that this kingdom living is vital. It's vital for the peace and the well-being of our world. Moments of grace, opportunities for forgiveness, experiences of peace, and hope. Hope for the world. These are the things that must guide our actions and our reactions. In man's kingdom, we are divided. But in God's kingdom, we are united. We are united by the Christ that is within each and every one of us. We are united by the Christ that acknowledges and teaches us that God is the parent of us all, that we are all children of the same God. We are united by the idea of compassion and mercy for one another. We are united, especially in our protection for the vulnerable. That is what unites us. So let's acknowledge that God is with us right now, when we leave this place, when we get in our car and drive home, when we go to work, when we spend time with our family. God is with us. And Jesus' number one message was the kingdom of God is here. All we have to do is step into that kingdom and live by God's rules, not man's rules. So as a response to this message, I would like to sing one of my favorite hymns, and I know that it's some of your favorite hymns as well, and that is Seek Ye First the Kingdom of God. Please stand in body or spirit as you're able.